Hello everyone, thank you for attending Synology's webinar today. My name is Marcus Cohn. I am a sales manager with Synology, and I will be discussing how to optimize your surveillance deployment with Synology's surveillance station software. Let's dive right in. Once you have connected compatible IP cameras to a network switch, and the switch to a Synology NAS, you will need to log into your device and install the free surveillance station software. This software runs directly on your NAS and allows your device to become an all-in-one VMS and NVR solution. We are currently compatible with over 5,600 different cameras from over 100 brands, giving you the ability and flexibility to choose which IP cameras you want to use in your deployment. You are able to also access the unit remotely, anytime, anywhere, as long as you have a network connection. You can access the unit either through a typical web browser or using our DSCam mobile application as well. And if you're like many of us, you cannot view the stream 24 hours a day. We do support notifications to be sent via email, SMS, or push. So while you are able to access Surveillance Station from a standard web browser or our mobile app, we have also built a native application for Windows and Mac computers, which provides all the same functionality as the web interface. This client will give you considerably better performance as it is utilizing the compute power of your computer rather than going through a web framework and the NAS itself. This allows your unit to use that computational power on different tasks and improve the overall efficiency of your unit. If you have not heard or seen our Surveillance Station client up until this point, I highly recommend you check it out, as you will see considerable performance boosts out of your surveillance deployment when utilizing the client. So now that I've given you an idea of Surveillance Station, our native client, and what Synology offers, we're going to jump into the main purpose of this webinar: optimizing a surveillance deployment. There are four main things we will be covering today: how to choose a camera, how to optimize video quality, how to optimize motion detection, and lastly, how to effectively search for videos utilizing Synology search tools. We are going to start with how to choose a surveillance camera. Choosing an IP camera is a very delicate balance of video quality, storage requirements, and overall price. The first thing that needs to be considered is the image resolution. At the minimum, we typically recommend a 1080p camera, as it will give you considerably better quality and you will be able to make out those smaller details in the recording. You're able to go higher than this in terms of image resolution. However, we do not believe it is entirely needed in your typical surveillance deployment. When it comes to frame rate, or frames per second, this indicates how many pictures will be taken each second and stitched together to create a video. If you have less frames taken per second, the video itself will appear choppy and disjointed. This is why we recommend having at least 15 frames per second, as motion will appear smoother, the overall video quality will be better, and you will not miss any important frames. Last but not least, we have to choose which encoding algorithm we will be using. For this, we recommend using H.264 instead of MJPEG. Why? Let's see the next slide. So as you can see from the slide, the storage space required varies greatly based on the encoding algorithm you choose. A 1080p stream at 20 frames per second using MJPEG would require at least 5.93 megabytes per second, while the same configuration through H.264 would need only 1.23 megabytes per second. This considerably smaller network and storage footprint is exactly why we recommend H.264 over MJPEG. You're actually able to get all of this information yourself on our website by utilizing our NVR selector. This tool will calculate the overall bandwidth and disk space needs for the deployment you have selected, as well as recommend some Synology NAS units that can satisfy those requirements. I highly urge you to check out this tool, as it is extremely helpful in determining the requirements for your particular surveillance setup. So now that you've decided which resolution, frames per second, and encoding algorithm to use, you now need to choose how these units will communicate with the NAS and receive power. There are three ways you are able to get a surveillance camera set up. The first we have is the non-PoE option, where the camera is plugged into a standard network switch and a power source separately. The second is the PoE, or Power over Ethernet option, where the camera receives power and network connection through the same Ethernet cable and a PoE enabled switch. The last is a Wi-Fi enabled camera that receives network connection wirelessly from the router and power from a standard power outlet. The main consideration in this is how you want your cameras to communicate with the network, either through an Ethernet cable or wirelessly through Wi-Fi. As you can see, a 1080p stream at 20 frames per second takes up considerable network bandwidth, around 1.23 megabytes per second. If you are trying to push all of this network traffic through a Wi-Fi connection, you will start to see issues, as most wireless cameras do not communicate very efficiently, and the signal itself declines considerably with distance and additional users. For ease of deployment and increased reliability and stability, we highly recommend using a direct connection instead of Wi-Fi, and more specifically, the PoE option. The non-PoE option complicates setup, as each camera needs to be near a power outlet, which is not always possible, and the Wi-Fi option has reliability issues. So, our recommendation, if possible, is to use a PoE camera as well as a gigabit PoE switch. There are also other camera features available, such as PTZ or pan tilt zoom, night view, and audio in and out to consider when choosing a surveillance camera. But we're not going to go into detail about those options right now. Please check out our website at Synology.com and reach out to us if you have any questions, as we are always happy to help. So now that we have covered in detail how to choose a camera and what to look for, we are going to start talking about how to optimize your video quality once you have the cameras connected. There are 3 settings we will be configuring in order to fully optimize the video quality. I will show you how to set up multiple streams to enable some very cool features that will help conserve network bandwidth and storage. I will also explain the pros and cons of changing the live view source, and we'll also discuss how video rotation can give your camera a better field of view. We are going to start with the multi-stream section. So as you can see here, we have a setup with 49 separate streams all coming to this single unit. It is not very efficient to view each of these live streams at 1080p, as that would require significant network overhead. It would be like trying to load 49 1080p YouTube videos all at the same time. Instead, you can have the live view at a lower resolution in grid view, and by utilizing multiple streams, you are able to change the stream quality to high definition when that camera feed is switched to full screen. Once the live view has returned back to grid view, the stream will go back to standard definition to help optimize your network usage. In a different scenario, you can see that we have 4 streams currently set recording at 480p. When an event is triggered in the top left screen, which in this case, motion detection, the feed automatically switches to 1080p so you can get as much detail as possible. Once the event has ended, it will switch back to 480p as configured. I'm going to dive into a demo here and show you how to set up these multiple streams within Surveillance Station, so you can make use of these extremely helpful features as much as possible and see how easy this is to set up. Alright, so we're going to move into the first demo here. I do want to make a note of the fact that we will be using the Surveillance Station client for all of the demos today. This is the client that was built for Windows and Mac computers and is considerably snappier in terms of menu performance. So we're going to start off with the IP camera section. This is the section that allows you to granularly manage each of the cameras you have connected to your unit. The first way to do this is by clicking up in the top left here under IP camera. This will open up this screen, and then we go ahead and click Edit, and Edit again. And we're going to edit the first Amcrest camera. So as you can see, we have all of the information here of the camera itself. But we're going to highlight the Video section tab at the top. This is where you can change the video format as well as the audio format and manage all of the streams and stream profiles. So as you can see, we have the high quality, balanced, and low bandwidth streams all set for stream 1. So even if you have low bandwidth, you're still going to be receiving this 1080p stream, which is not ideal. So in this case, we want to actually set low bandwidth to stream 2. this opens up the second stream option. In this case, we can then change this resolution of only this stream. So we're going to keep that at 640 by 480, but change the frame rate to 15 so we still get some smooth motion in there. So now that you've set up the multiple streams, what about the recording settings? So we move over into the recording settings here, and as you can see, this is where they get very granular and very easy to manage. We're going to move over into profile, and this is where you can schedule out the recording settings and which stream they will use. So in this case, we have the continuous stream. It is currently using the balanced stream, which is actually the high quality stream. But in this case, we want to actually be continually recording at the low bandwidth stream, but when motion detection happens, switches to high quality. You can actually do this automatically if you have it set up correctly by enabling this setting down here. This is also where you can manage the schedule of the recording. So this is, as you can see, I have this set for motion detection all the time. However, if you were to use this setting, you would set it to continuous and then set up that motion detection to trigger that high quality view. If we move into the live view settings, we have a lot of the same functionality. So we can set the stream setting here to high quality in the live view, either high quality balanced or low bandwidth, and we can do that for mobile as well. So many of us do not want to use a 1080p stream and use up all of our data on a mobile device. In this case, we can set the stream setting to the low bandwidth stream, giving you that standard definition stream and not using up too much of your data. And as I mentioned in the previous slides, you are able to dynamically adjust the quality of that stream, and that is done through the checkbox right here, enable advanced settings for live view. So this can do it either on event detection or automatically adjusting the stream profile according to display size or grid view versus full screen view. So while we have discussed the stream settings, there is also this drop-down box for the video source. So as you can see, if we click on this, you have either from surveillance station or from camera. Now, what is the difference of these and what exactly does this do? I'm going to jump back into the presentation here and talk about these in more detail. So as I mentioned at the end of the demo, there is an option that allows you to select where the live view source will originate from. You're actually able to choose where the camera stream is coming from for live view, either the camera itself or through the surveillance station. There are benefits of selecting the from camera option, as you will see a lower delay in recording latency, as well as reduced NAS loading, which frees up the unit's processing power to be used for other tasks. You may be wondering, why would I not use the from camera option as opposed to the from surveillance station option? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Many cameras do not have the compute power to push a live stream to multiple devices, thus making it more difficult for multiple people to view that live stream remotely. And also, it does require complicated network management, as firewalls and NAT settings typically are in the way. This is why we recommend pulling the stream from surveillance station rather than the camera itself. It has a much smaller performance need, and you are also able to view the streams remotely without having to deal with complicated network configuration and opening up your network to the public. The last setting we will discuss that will help you optimize your video quality is stream rotation. If we were to place a camera in this hallway, it would only have the field of view as outlined by the green rectangle. In surveillance station, we are able to rotate the feed so you can use the cameras more efficiently and record the events that matter. When we rotate the stream in the example, the view would consist of everything in the yellow rectangle, which gives us a much more useful and efficient view of the hallway. Coupled with the rotate optimization option, we also have the mirror and flip options available. These options all manipulate the stream to make sure you're using the cameras you have deployed in the most efficient manner possible. Rotate, flip, and mirror are all manageable through the edit camera options within surveillance station. They are basic drop-down menus that give you the ability to enable only the functions that you require on a camera-by-camera basis. You typically can manage these optimization options directly in the camera firmware. However, Synology makes it easier and gives you these options within our NVR software, so you do not have to manage multiple packages and software programs at one time. Now that we have shown you how to optimize your video quality within Surveillance Station, I'm going to show you how to optimize the motion detection capabilities of our software. When you implement motion detection into your surveillance system, you are able to be notified of motion in the view of your camera. This can be very helpful in many situations. However, there are some issues that may arise if it is not optimized correctly. As you can see, we have a camera looking out of the window of our office here in Seattle, which has been sending me notifications constantly that there was movement. These notifications are being triggered by a car driving past, a cloud, or even a shadow moving as the wind comes through. We need to have the ability to manage the motion detection aspect on a more granular level to make sure that motion detection is not recording the mundane events that happen in the field of view of your camera. Because of the fact we need the ability to optimize our motion detection deployment, Synology makes it very easy. You can do this through two different methods that I highly recommend you use together. You can alter the sensitivity and the threshold as well as the motion detection area, as you can see in the screenshots above. Sensitivity is where larger values will trigger motion detection more easily. This determines how large the difference between a series of frames needs to be to trigger motion detection. The threshold is where larger values would trigger motion detection for larger movements, and smaller values will trigger motion detection more easily. I'm going to jump into a quick demo here to show you how easy these settings are to manage. So we're going to move into the second demo here on how to optimize motion detection. As you can see, we are back at the IP camera management section of Surveillance Station. And actually what we're going to do now is go to this event detection button. So in this case, I'm going to be editing Amcrest 2. Go ahead and click Amcrest 2 and click event detection. So as you can see, with each of these bars, it is detecting some motion and in this case, recording it. You don't want to be receiving all these notifications of these mundane tasks and things that are happening as it is recording things that do not actually matter. So what we're going to do actually is change the sensitivity and the threshold. But there's one thing I want to highlight before that. As you can see, the detection source says by surveillance station. If you change this to by camera, you are not able to edit the sensitivity and the threshold of the camera. So in this case, I would highly recommend keeping it by surveillance station to give you more granular management and you do not have to do everything from the camera's firmware. So we're actually going to change the sensitivity here to 90 and the threshold to 10 to make that a little bit less sensitive. And so I mentioned this in the slide deck that you should use this as well as edit detection area together. So we're actually going to click on the edit detection area button here as well. So as you can see, this brings up a third screen, kind of a blue washed version of the view outside of this camera. We don't want to be receiving any sort of notifications or motion or recordings of the cars passing in this main road back here. So we're actually going to eliminate that from the motion detection area. So you go ahead and click that minus button and then drag and unclick to unselect that area from the motion detection area. So from this point on, any sort of motion that happens within that predefined area, the camera will not be triggered and will not record. So motion detection is a very useful tool. It's in many cases, it's saved lives and it's saved companies hundreds of thousands of dollars. But you need to make sure it is configured properly and you're not receiving all these notifications for no reason. So I'm actually going to jump back into the presentation here and highlight how to even further minimize the notifications you will receive. So as we come out of the demo, even though we have optimized motion detection at this point, you may still receive a lot of notifications. Most of us do not want to constantly receive notifications that were triggered by events that do not matter. So in order to combat this issue, you are able to do three main things. Reduce overall notification frequency, disable notifications for a specific camera at a specific time, and even enable geofencing to disable notifications when you're not in the physical area. The easiest way to explain this is to show you in a demo. So let's dive in and check out these cool features. Okay everyone, we're going to come into the third demo here. And as you can see, we currently have the IP camera management tool up. In this case, we're actually not going to be managing the cameras individually, but we're going to be managing the notification settings. So we're going to go ahead and click out of this one and click on notification. This brings up the granular management settings of the notifications. You can either enable SMS, email, or push service. And you can even get into the granular management in terms of the settings, as well as advanced settings. I do want to highlight one main point on this advanced tab, where this notification combination setting. So this feature helps you avoid receiving excessive notification messages by combining them into one. So once you enable this feature and set the time interval, in this case 1 minute, if you receive more than one notification in under that time interval, it will just combine them into one, thus greatly limiting the amount of emails you will receive for these various notifications. If we move back into settings here, as you can see, this has all of the triggers that will set off a notification and will be sent to you. So in this case, we have the camera settings, and when motion is detected, it will send an email. If you want to select SMS instead, you can just click that and then click email. Very easy to do. What we're actually going to do here is actually go to Edit Schedule and click Edit. So as you can see, we are currently editing the schedule of AmCrest 1 and are currently allowing notifications all day, every day. But what if you didn't want to receive notifications on the weekend, as this unit is maybe located in the office? You can actually deselect entire days, so you will not receive notifications on those days. So now that we've set this up, we will not receive any notifications from AmCrest 1 on Sunday or Saturday, only during the week. Very easy to set up, very easy to manage. So we've talked about reducing that notification frequency with the combination settings, as well as editing the schedule for a specific camera at a specific time. But what about the geofencing? That's a very cool feature that we have actually recently come out with in Surveillance Station 8.1. It is actually enabled through the home mode section of Surveillance Station. So we're gonna go ahead and open that up. And as you can see, this brings up the home mode status. And you can turn on geofencing within DS Cam. So in order to use the geofencing options within Surveillance Station, you need to utilize our mobile app, which in many cases you are, because it is a very useful app and you can view your live streams remotely. So home mode, geofencing, and editing all these notification options can greatly help limit how many notifications and emails you will receive based on the various aspects of your surveillance deployment. I'm actually going to jump back into the presentation here and move on to the next section covering the search tools Synology offers. So we have covered how to choose a surveillance camera and how to optimize various aspects of your surveillance deployment. We're now going to move into how to effectively search for the videos that you're looking for by utilizing Synology's search tools. We have two main utilities I will be highlighting in this section. The first is Smart Search. We're able to search for a specific event during the camera's watch time. The second is Timeline, where you can perform frame-by-frame playback to help you scrutinize even the smallest changes in recordings. In all honesty, the easiest way to show these to you is through a demo. So I'm going to jump into that right now and show you how these search tools work. Alright everyone, so we're going to come into the last demo of the webinar today. And what we're first going to be highlighting is Timeline. Now this is a very useful tool if you're looking for a minute-by-minute playback of a day based on the actions that happen. So it is actually currently selecting this day. However, we're going to go back in time. We're going to go to the 1st of September. So it is comparing the most active camera, in this case AmCrest 3. So we're going to select AmCrest 4. As you can see, they have quite a bit of overlap here. What we're going to do actually is select about 12:30 on the 1st. So as you can see, it is now showing you what happened at roughly 12:30 on the 1st. And we'll also show you the transition between the two cameras, as when a car passes up here, as you can see right here, the car passes through, the other camera will then start the recording, pick it up, and you can watch the car pass through the driveway. So Timeline is a very useful tool for that play-by-play, that minute-by-minute that you're looking for when you're looking for specific events. So there are two search utilities. There's Timeline and there's Smart Search. Timeline is more time-based and Smart Search is more action-based. So in this case, we're going to select a different camera, in this case AmCrest 2. and I'm going to select a different day, in this case the 5th. So as you can see, this is the view of our camera outside during September 5th. But what if you only wanted to receive information about specific motions that happen in a specific area? In this case, you can set up the detection zone to notify you. So like, let's say we wanted to only receive information about motion that happens in this area. So if anyone drives up the driveway. Once we click play, and we open up the result list, it will notify us of any results of when that motion detection is triggered. So in this case, when you saw that car drive up here, it logged that as a result. So we keep letting this run, and you see cars come up this area. So you can see many of them are just turning off right now. But you will get more and more results as more cars drive through that region, thus making it very easy for you to say, hey, I'm looking for a specific notification in this area, a specific action. I want to know all the things that happen in this time frame. So as you can see, the second car has passed through and has triggered another result. So SmartTrade is a very useful tool for tracking actions of people and making sure that if you have a notification or a motion in a specific area, you can get all that information all at one time. So we're going to move out of the demo here and wrap up our presentation. So as we come out of the final demo of the final section of the webinar, we wanted to recap what we have covered today. We have talked about how to choose a surveillance camera and the various options associated with that. We have talked about how to optimize the video quality as well as the motion detection capabilities of Synology's surveillance software. And last, we spoke about how to effectively search using Synology's search tools to find the videos that matter. I wanted to thank you for attending our webinar today. Please check out our website at Synology.com and contact us if you have any questions. My name is Marcus Cohn. This was the Synology Partner online training webinar focused on surveillance. Thank you so much for coming, and have a great rest of your day.